Welcome to Historical, where we look and see into the past, to the events that shape our future. Let us begin. It was 1950 and the early 60s. The average income was $3,000 to $5,000 a year. A new house would cost anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000. A new car would cost you $1,500 to $2,000. A home to rent cost $75 per month. Gasoline ranged anywhere from 18 to 25 cents per gallon. A gallon of milk would run you 90 cents. Children were told to get under their desks to protect themselves from a bomb, a large bomb. What bomb were they talking about? In order to answer this question, we have to go back into time, in 1945. In the final year of World War II, the Allies called for an unconditional surrender to the Imperial Japanese Armed Forces in the Potsdam Declaration on July 26, 1945. The alternative being prompt and utter destruction. Japan ignored the ultimatum and war continued. Because of this, the United States decided to bomb Japan, but before it could, it needed consent. The consent of the United Kingdom was obtained for the bombing, as was required by the Quebec Agreement. The orders were issued on July 25th for the atomic bombs to be used against Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These targets were chosen because of the large urban areas that also held militarily significant facilities. On August 6, 1945, a bomb called Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima. At 8:14, it was a sunny day. At 8:15, hell was poured down on Hiroshima. Within a few seconds, many died of massive doses of radiation. In less than a second, 70,000 people perished. Despite all of the destruction, 3 days later, Japan still did not surrender. A second bomb was prepared, and President Truman sent a second warning.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. The Japanese began the war from the air at Pearl Harbor. They have been repaid many-fold, and the end is not yet. With this bomb, we have now added a new and revolutionary increase in destruction to supplement the growing power of our armed forces. In their present form, these bombs are now in production, and even more powerful forms are in development. It is an atomic bomb. It is a harnessing of the basic power of the universe. The force from which the sun draws its power has been loosed against those who brought war to the Far East. We are now prepared to destroy, more rapidly and completely, every productive enterprise the Japanese have in any city. We shall destroy their docks, their factories, and their communications. Let there be no mistake. We shall completely destroy Japan's power to make war. It was to spare the Japanese people from utter destruction that the ultimatum of July the 26th was issued at Potsdam. Their leaders promptly rejected that ultimatum. If they do not now accept our terms, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth. Behind this air attack will follow sea and land forces in such numbers and power as they have not yet seen, and with the fighting skill of which they are already well aware. We have spent more than $2 billion on the greatest scientific gamble in history, and we have won. But the greatest marvel is not the size of the enterprise, its secrecy, or its cost, but the achievement of scientific brains in making it work. And hardly less marvelous has been the capacity of industry to design and of labor to operate the machines and methods to do things never done before. Both science and industry work together under the direction of the United States Army, which achieved a unique success in an amazingly short time. It is doubtful if such another combination could be got together in the world. What has been done is the greatest achievement of organized science in history.
And 3 days later, the bomb named Fat Man was dropped on Nagasaki. Over the next 4 months, the effects of the atomic bombings killed between 900,000 and 146,000 people in Hiroshima and 39,000 and 80,000 people in Nagasaki. Roughly half occurred on the first day. For months afterwards, the large numbers of people continued to die from the effects of burns, radiation sickness, and injuries compounded by the illness and malnutrition. Most of the dead were civilians, although Hiroshima had a sizable military garrison. Why did the United States bomb Japan? Was it in retaliation for Pearl Harbor? Or was it because Russia's increasing footprint in the world was beginning through Germany as it split Germany in half, east and west? Did the United States want to gain a foothold on Japan because Russia was gaining its presence in the east? Well, we'll leave that up to the viewer to decide. Meanwhile, after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the United States was the most influential economic power in the world after World War II, under the presidency of Dwight D. Eisenhower. The United States had unconditional superiority over the USSR in nuclear weapons, although the thermonuclear charges had already been created in the USSR at this time. Also, there were no effective means of delivering the nuclear warheads to the United States, both in the 1950s and in 1961. The USSR did not have any real possibility of a retaliatory nuclear strike against the United States. In addition to the foreign policy and propaganda considerations to respond to the U.S. nuclear program, the creation of the Tsar Bomba fit into the concept of nuclear deterrence. It boiled down to the nuclear bluff to create an appearance of nuclear equilibrium. Since the arms race started in 1945, the Russians prior to that tested their own nuclear weapon. It was called Jo-1. Since then, powerful countries of the world started making their own nuclear weapons. Because Russia believed there was an imbalance of power, they felt in order to tip the scales of power would be to create the ultimate nuclear weapon, to show the world Russia's engineering capabilities. So Khrushchev personally announced the upcoming test of the 50 megaton bomb in his report on October 17, 1961 at the 22nd Congress of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. But before the official announcement, in a casual conversation, he told an American politician about the bomb, and this information was published on September 8, 1961 in the New York Times. Once the bomb was assembled, it was carefully loaded on a special rail car. It was shipped to the Kola Peninsula to an airport named Alenia. As you can see, here's all of Europe. You can see Spain, France, Germany. To the right is Russia. You can see where it says Estonia. St. Petersburg is right next to it. Above St. Petersburg is Finland. And to the right is the Kola Peninsula. If we look closer, we'll see the airport named Alenia. It was delivered to this airport So the bomb could be loaded on the Tu-95, also known as the Bear, which is the equivalent to the American B-52 bomber. The airplane had to be modified to carry the 27-foot long, just under 7 feet in diameter, and weighing in at 27 tons. So because of the size and weight, the plane had to be modified. The entire plane was sprayed with a white reflective paint to reduce the heat from the bomb flash. At approximately 9:30 a.m. Russia time, the crew left the airport to its destination. The test site that was chosen was on an island called Novaya Zemlya. You can see here the flight pattern from the airport to ground zero. It took about 2 hours to get there. Once the plane reached its destination, their altitude was 34,000 feet. At 11:32 a.m., the bomb was released. Once the bomb was released, a parachute was deployed that was tied to the bomb. This parachute weighed 18,000 pounds and it had a surface area of 17,000 square feet. The parachute was installed to slow the bomb down, so the crew had a chance to get away from ground zero. They were about 28 miles away from ground zero when the bomb exploded. Listen and hear the newly declassified Russian video that has been recently released. If you would like to watch the newly released declassified translated Russian video, click above on the right-hand corner and it will take you there.
Осталось 3 секунды. 2.
What you're about to watch now is history being made. It was the largest explosion since the beginning of time. The white flash, or the white ball that you see, is part of the nuclear reaction. It is said that this ball is so hot that it's 10 times hotter than the surface of the sun. The bomb was exploded 2.5 miles above sea level, and the mushroom cloud grew to 59 miles above sea level. It is said that the bomb was 1,775 times more powerful than the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bomb put together. The white fireball was 5 miles in diameter. The shock wave destroyed everything within 35 miles of the blast. If you were 62 miles away from ground zero, you would burn with third-degree burns, and the radiation would eventually kill you. At 178 miles away, you could feel the heat flash. At 430 miles away, the shock wave could be seen. At 560 miles, all windows were broken. The bomb sent shock waves around the Earth 3 times. The pilot and crew survived. But what if that same crew detonated the bomb in New York City? How far would the damage be? How about Los Angeles, California? Or Dallas, Texas? Or New Delhi, India? Or the United Emirates? Or Sydney, Australia? The thermal radiation that emits from the white ball is traveling at 300,000 kilometers per second, or 186,000 miles per second. If we could harness that energy and put it in a spacecraft, and we decided to travel from Earth to Pluto and back, how long would it take? Well, after doing some basic math, it would take you approximately 9.7 hours to go from Earth to Pluto and back. Now, if we took that same spaceship with our upgraded rocket engine and decided to fly to our closest galaxy, called the Candace Major Dwarf Galaxy, the distance from Earth to that galaxy is, well, here's the math. Once you've broken it down, it would take you 25,000 years for a one-way trip. Well, today we use nuclear power in various places in our society, from medicine to power, in our food, in space exploration, and of course nuclear weapons. But the question still remains, are we using this power responsibly? Well, as a little kid, I remember being tucked in under the table, wondering if a bomb was going to explode near me. When I was tucked under, I always remembered this last part of this movie that my parents had me watch. Let me leave you with this ending of this movie that I watched as a kid. It's the last part of this movie that I used to watch that I still remember to this day. Hopefully, it'll open your mind for your decisions in the future. I will be leaving soon. You will forgive me if I speak bluntly. The universe grows smaller every day, and the threat of aggression by any group, anywhere, can no longer be tolerated. There must be security for all, or no one will be secure. Now, this does not mean giving up any freedom, except for the freedom to act irresponsibly. Your ancestors knew this when they made laws to govern themselves and employed policemen to enforce them. We of the other planets have long accepted this principle. We have an organization of the mutual protection of all planets and for the complete elimination of aggression. The test of any such high authority is, of course, the police force that supports it. For our policemen, we've created a race of robots. Their function is to patrol the planets in ships like this one to preserve the peace. In matters of aggression, we've given them absolute power over us. This power cannot be revoked. At the first act of violence, they act immediately against the aggressor. The penalty for provoking their action is too terrible to risk. The result is we live in peace. Without arms or armies, we are secure in the knowledge that we are free from aggression, free to pursue more profitable enterprises. Now, we do not pretend that we have achieved perfection, but we do have a system, and for now it works. I came here to give you these facts. It is no concern of ours how you run your own planet. But if you threaten to extend your violence, this Earth of yours will be reduced to a burned out cinder. Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The choice is yours. We shall be waiting for your answer. The choice is yours.